Hey guys, so I am back with another one, and this one is geared towards my Caribbean students really, because I've been getting a lot of messages in my inbox about whether I think students from across the Caribbean, especially those who are not entitled to free tertiary education, should take loans to go to university. Now, I've been in a bind really. I don't know how to answer that question for you, but I'm going to try to give you some tips to guide you along making the right decision. Some people are riskier than others with finances. I am not one of those, but I did end up taking a loan. And I can't say that I regret taking the loan because the experience was great, but in hindsight, I probably would have gone another route, is what I'm saying. 5 years, close to 6 years later, I am still paying off this loan at an exorbitant amount per month. And I only took this loan for 1 year of my studies. Check out my other video with all of the details on my university experience, my debt experience, right? This is a difficult decision to make, and I want you to treat it like that. I want you to treat it as one of the most important decisions that you're going to make, because it will affect your finances later on, and it will affect the trajectory of your life. One of the things you want to consider is your age. At what age are you planning to take a loan? What are your goals in the future? Do you already have children? Do you already have a family? Because taking a loan is going to affect your finances for the next 5 years at least. And it would also affect the quality of life you're able to live and the quality of life you'll be able to afford your children if you have any. If you are free, single, and disengaged, like I was, it does still affect the quality of life that I could afford, but I am still able to maneuver because it's me alone. But still, again, I would take pause in thinking as to whether to take a loan or not. So let me get into my top tips, and I hope that it helps you. I really do. My number one tip is that you should consider every cost reducing option that you have at your disposal. And I will speak from the perspective of a St. Lucian student, because I have a little bit more knowledge as to what is available through the government of St. Lucia for these students, but that would also apply for other Caribbean islands like Grenada and St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua and Dominica. The islands in the Caribbean that do not have a University of the West Indies campus and that do not have the privileges of lesser costs, even if they said that, our tuition is subsidized. But whatever. University, let me just say that, because I think people are going to start believing that I am a poster child for the University of the West Indies. That is my frame of reference. There are other universities within the Caribbean, but the University of the West Indies is one of the cheapest universities within the Caribbean region. So if you are going to remain and do schooling, I would recommend the University of the West Indies. For example, I know that people in Trinidad like to go to USC. I personally would not recommend that a child from St. Lucia, a young person from St. Lucia, leaves St. Lucia and goes to live on campus at USC unless it's for religious purposes, because USC is exponentially more expensive than the University of the West Indies, and you're going for education. So if you cannot maintain your Christian values at University of the West Indies, then it says a lot about you and not the university. But anywho, that's another topic for another day. What I am saying is that you should consider all of the cost reducing opportunities that you have. For example, scholarships, right? I know that the scholarships for a BSc, a first degree, a bachelor's, are few and far between for Caribbean students, especially if you're looking to study locally, but there are scholarships available. For example, UWI has their scholarship, and UWI Caville in particular has this tuition scholarship that they have where you get free tuition. I think it's called the South Louis scholarship, right? In saying that, if you have decided that you're going to a particular university, I would recommend that you look at their scholarship options and the cost reducing options to see what you would probably qualify for. So that is one option that you have. You also can look at scholarships abroad, and there are other options that are less traditional that are still great opportunities for free education. For example, the Taiwanese scholarship that St. Lucian students have access to, or even scholarships to countries like Russia or even Germany. Germany has the first degree free internationally. So you want to consider these options and think outside of the box, because you're going to encounter countries that you probably never envisioned studying in, giving scholarships for a first degree. Hello. The world is your oyster. Unless you have major responsibilities like children at home and you want to visit home more frequently during the year, then the reality is that there is no place too far. There is no place that is not a plane ride away. So, or two or three. So consider all of these opportunities, consider all of these scholarships before you make your decision. There is also the option of bursaries and grants. I've never received a bursary or a grant or a scholarship for that matter. In hindsight, I was a fool. Don't be like me. But there are also bursaries and grants, which I know people have accessed even at the University of the West Indies. Go to your schools or your intended school's website and check out their scholarships page or their cost reducing page. It will list also the bursaries and the grants that you can apply for and what the deadlines are. I know people who've gotten $5,000, $10,000 every semester or every year with no attachments, simply by producing their transcript. So check out your bursaries and your grants and what is available to you in that regard. Another cost reducing option that you may want to consider, that I never recommend, but it's an option all the same, is living with someone in the country that you intend to study in. So for example, if you are a St. Lucian student or a Grenadian student and you have an aunt or an uncle in Barbados, say, and the program that you really want to do is offered at Cavill, you may want to consider, if you have a good enough relationship with this person, that you are going to live with this person for 1 year or the duration of your university experience. Personally, I never recommend that because Caribbean people tire of people easily. Seriously, I really believe that. So you don't want to overstay your welcome, and when you're studying, you want to be comfortable and you want to diminish your stress levels so that you can perform the best that you can. But I've known people who've done it and it's worked out for them, and it has been the only way that they've been able to afford university. So if it's something that you can consider it, but also have a plan B. My last two options with regards to reducing your cost as much as possible center around studying at home. Before, we didn't have that option as much, but these options are increasing readily. For example, I know that UWI Open Campus has a branch in St. Lucia, and there are programs that you can do there, even in the classroom. And we have a couple medical universities in St. Lucia, and I've known people who've completed and gone on to practice with these universities that are locally based. That would reduce your cost exponentially. It is much more expensive to live in another land than to live at home, remain at home, and just add the expense of schooling. And another option that I was never a fan of, but I am beginning to warm towards, is the option of online schooling. At this point, I don't see myself taking a loan to do my master's degree. And at this point, I don't like the programs that University of the West Indies, where I am based, offers. And so I'm considering online programs that are more within the scope of what I want to do. Because sis is not taking no loan. I'm still paying off my student loan for my first degree. I'm not attaching myself to another loan like that. No. No, devil, no. Again, you reduce the cost of living in another land. Your living expenses are reduced because you're going to continue living life as you've been living it. Your salary is going to continue. Whatever means you've been supporting yourself, it's going to continue. And you're just attaching this opportunity to study. Of course, it will require sacrifice and discipline, but you have to do what you have to do if that is one of your goals and that is something that you want to accomplish. If you have decided to take a loan because you have no other means, and there are people like that, you really have no other means, what you want to do is not offered in your country, you cannot get a scholarship because scholarships are few, and you don't have anti-Nenen power in high places, and you really have to take a loan because this is something that you want to do, and you don't want to wait to save the money because it looks impossible, then here's what I would say. If you do decide to take a loan, do not let any bank person, do not let any loans officer con you into taking more money than you need. That is something that I've seen that's happened. So ask people who have been in your position, who've taken loans for the program that you want to do and in the country or at the university that you want to study at, so that you can have a great gauge of how much you really need. And when you are venturing to take a loan, take only what you need to live comfortably. And when I say comfortably, I don't mean buying Gucci and traveling the globe, okay? You can find other means to do that. But take what you need to survive and not live in misery, really. I would never advocate that you go in a foreign land and live in misery because it adds to your stress. You want to have enough, but you don't want to take exorbitant amounts of money and be traveling the globe that you'd have to pay back later. So that is my one tip. Consider what you would really need and then take based on that. And my second tip with regards to if you've decided to take the loan and that you have no other recourse would be to consider getting a job. Even again, I don't know where my head was at university. I never considered getting a job. My colleagues got jobs, but they were my more mature colleagues who were supporting themselves. Again, within the Caribbean, working while going to school, your options are very limited, but there are still options. Go to your school's student advisory services or your student center where they would have information for you. First come, first serve, the jobs are limited, so you want to get on it if you've already decided to take a loan and that you are going to school. The jobs are student friendly, they are at the university itself. Your schedule would be able to be adjusted based on your class schedule. So that's something you want to consider. I know St. Lucian students don't really consider working while going to school, but there are jobs available. So I would just want to let you know that. And outside of the Caribbean, there are even more jobs available, even off campus. Start an online business. Whatever it is, you want to be generating some income as much as is possible. So these are my tips. I never want to recommend taking a loan because I know how stressful it has been for me taking a loan. But I also know that I am an anomaly and that a lot of people don't think that you should live without debt. Some people think that debt is necessary to generate wealth. Personally, I don't believe that. That's not my worldview. And I don't believe in having debt. I'm trying to erase mine. If you are like me and you're very concerned about taking a loan, these are the tips that I have for you. And my final tip is to consider staying back and saving some money. Consider working for a couple years before you go off to school, so that even if you have to take a loan, you would have to take a lot less. So work, save, and see what is available when you are ready to go to school in the next 2 years or so. Delayed gratification is worth it, guys. I'm telling you. When you leave school at 21 with a $40,000, and I was lucky to have that, or a $120,000 loan, it is no fun. I have had many friends who've collapsed under the weight of loans. Okay, so consider what I have to say. Word to the wise. But I wish you the best. I think that education is very important. I also enjoyed my campus experience. It exposed me to a lot. It caused me to grow a lot and come out of my shell a lot. I met beautiful people, but so did my friends who did online education and were in these online classes. But I hope you make the best decision for you in the end. Thanks for watching. If you have an experience with scholarships or grants or bursaries, please leave it down below so that the young people coming up who are checking out my channel with regard to these things will see your options in the comment section and they would have some more options at their disposal.